conventionally, all vaccines were the proteins. Got it. Now, all the proteins require plants, big plants to be made. And there has been a great revolutionary, innovative technology breakthrough when Moderna introduced messenger RNA technology, where you inject RNA, which body is used as a plant, and it replicates proteins. And whereas Covishield and Covaxin have been attenuated adenovirus spike proteins or inactivated protein spike. And now you have a new, first of its kind vaccine introduced by an Indian company, Zycovid. It is from DNA plasma. There are 6,445 COVID-19 studies are listed on International Clinical Trials Registry platform. And some are completed, some are ongoing. This is one among the biggest which is happening ever. As I mentioned, few among many heroes. Leveraging collaboration has been the order of the day. Interestingly, the antitrust law took a silent approach. Competitors have come in to collaborate. You have Merck and J&J, you have Pfizer and BioNTech, you have GSK and Sanofi, you have Vestra and Serum Institute, Dr. Reddy's and GNRL, but Sputnik didn't take off, and your Biological Evans and J&J. If one has to be ready for the next incident, one has to build capacity, which cannot happen without collaboration. What necessitates collaboration? You will get an idea from the fact that Pfizer's BioNTech vaccine uses 208 ingredients, 87 factories coming from 19 different countries to get the final product. Now this, I think, will give you that how intricate and the need for collaboration is. Then there is, while on the subject, this is the latest announcement, which is Hyderabad Hetero Labs, which collaborates with Pfizer. And now you have the oral pill, which is Paxlovid, which is a combination of two anti-SARS-CoV drugs. And this is new introduction. Now the point is that what would be the future of COVID-19 vaccines and beyond? Now this is a statement which is April 23rd by Mr. Adar Poonawalla. You see, you have got 200 million doses which are now spare. So that means they may be nearing expiry. Now this is a very big risk. So imagine last year, near 200 crore doses were only Covishield. Now, if you look into the business, 51 billion combined from Moderna and Pfizer happened last year in 1 year. I must tell you that Indian domestic market is about $22 billion. So they have done $51 billion combined in 1 year. Now, what happens next year? So how do you sustain and what is beyond? So it's important for these companies, and for good reasons, that recurrent booster doses, they are made mandatory. Age extension have already happened because this is how the industry would also sustain, and also the community would need it. And you've already got 12 to 18 years emergency use approval, and approval is now sought for 5 to 11 years old. Combo vaccines is the future. You already have 5 and 6 in 1, so you will have COVID-19 vaccine included in it. Compliance is actually relatively low to booster because it's not been made mandatory unless you are to travel to London or you're traveling any European country where you find that booster certificate is necessary. And funding and reach to the poorer world is what needs to take the priority, and innovation as any other. So future of combo vaccines, as I've said, this is 5 in 1, these are 6 in 1. Tomorrow you will have 7 in 1, including COVID. Now, how did the different countries respond, the governments respond to COVID once COVID-19, when it happened? So I'm not picking up US or UAE, Australia. I'm only looking at India. So what did India do? Recently issued guidelines allowing remote consulting over audio, video, and text-based platforms. This was the first good announcement made by the government, and proactively. The National Accreditation Board of Hospitals and Healthcare Providers, NABH, initiated work on digital health standards for accreditation of telehealth services. And of course, we are aware of what happened in the digital and telehealth model area, which was Arogya Setu and Covin and other apps which came in. It was amazing. In India, you could sit back home and you know exactly which hospital has how many beds vacant. If you look into now consumption of telehealth services, you have to go to, let's say, an age bracket of 55 to 64. You find pre-COVID to post-COVID, there has been 4 times increase of people who are seeking telehealth. So the higher the age, the more the inclination towards consuming telehealth in India. Now, very interesting, you would know, is that while the lessons from COVID, the urgency and importance of testing have emerged, but it was already happening. Earlier, I picked up 2 institutes, Shankar Nitrale, Arvind Eye Hospitals. They are the highest, best global standards, and they are worldwide case studies. In fact, Arvind is known because they are the most economical, affordable IOL lenses, the biggest and the maximum coverage they have of those IOL lenses. Now, what were they doing? They had a remote van here, and they had the base hospital, could be in Bangalore, could be in Chennai, and they were doing here, what they were doing the imaging, the fundus imaging. And the base hospital would then subsequently diagnose and see. You will be surprised to know that when they did this, diabetic retinopathy was detected in 19% of rural people with diabetes. That means this remained undetected. 73.6% of whom had never undergone an eye examination, they were found to be patients of diabetic retinopathy. Now, is this only limited to diabetic retinopathy? No, let's look into this. 90% of glaucoma in India is undetected. Now, that means if there are 13 million glaucoma cases, that means 1.3 crores. So imagine 19%, that means 90%, 9 times is actually the incidence, but undetected in India. Myopia, 20% of myopia, that means 1 in every adult or child is undetected myopia. 17 to 21% of hypertension, rural urban areas is undetected. 42% of diabetes is undetected in India. Now what has COVID done? Sorry, I will have to. So what has COVID done? COVID has brought in that urgency with respect to testing. Now this they did for COVID-19. Why not do it for diseases which have got high incidence? And they did at railway stations, they did in societies, they did at airports, they did everywhere. And let's see what happens. Assuming that you have 42 billion, not assuming, but that's the actual market size, Indian pharma, including exports. Now, if $42 billion is the size of Indian pharma market, what is the scope? Now, this is pharma market, only diagnosed and treated market. Now, there's a lot of market which is undiagnosed and untreated. And look at here, about 33% urban and 25% rural. Age adjusted, Indians are hypertensive, but out of them, only 25% rural, 42% urban are aware of their hypertension. Only 25% rural, 38% urban are treated for hypertension. So now that means what? That means if the pharma understands this and gets into doing that exercise of testing, then the market grows. The 42 billion, the projected is 2030, projected is about 130 billion, but we can even be, it looks ambitious, but we can even be far beyond. But this is where pharma globally has to actually think and get into that area, because there is a big connection between GDP and health. Now, if I have only taken one case of myopia increased 3 times in 2020. And this is a study which was published in Journal of American Medical Association of Ophthalmology. And what did they find? They said that 123 children. And when they tested them, they found there was substantial myopic shift of minus 0.3 diopters was noted after home confinement due to coronavirus disease. And this was because children were exposed maybe to, over 5 years of 5 hours of screen time and blue light hazards. And prevalence of myopia increased 1.4 to 3 times. as compared to previous 5 years, only in 1 year. So we as an organization, because I'm among top 5 companies in ophthalmology in prescription in India. So I can tell you as pharmacy, I can give my example, Centaur. So we did what? We did a two-pronged strategy. What is a two-pronged strategy? We went down to the preventive health. So we introduced something which is 7 essential ingredients for preventing blue light, for filtering to retina. So to ensure that young eyes are safe, we introduced this I7 dummies, and we also did. We have also initiated. I think somebody. Is it someone's telephone is on? Just 1 minute. I put it on the, not mine. So, and then the other, we initiated a project where we have brought the schools, the optometrists, the ophthalmologists, and the parents together on one platform. And imagine there are 40 crore children, school-going children in India. There are 10 lakh schools. So, assuming that there are about 10% of them which have digital video conferencing capabilities. So, I think we have a task to do. And I have 500 headquarters in India. If I even do 5 programs per headquarters, I'm doing 2,500 schools enrolled in a month. So I do 30,000, and so that means then I would be at least 2 years. We should be through the eye detection camps. So next is that let's look into the telemedicine market in India now. The telemedicine market in India is going to be 5.2 billion in teleconsultation and e-pharmacy put together in 2025. Now, the teleconsultation platform actually is meant to enable doctors to safely continue their practice. I know very, very senior consultants who are 70 years, 75 years, they stopped their practices and provide alternate consultation channels to patients and also develop synergies for growth of pharma companies. Now, of this 5.2 billion in future, 13% of course is going to be teleconsultation and 87% is going to be the e-pharmacy. Now, if we look at the COVID has accelerated pre-COVID initiatives. You know, there was an initiative by government called Socio Endeavor for Health and Telemedicine launched earlier by government to connect 60,000 health services pan-India has got impetus during the post-COVID. Now, what is it here? Here, actually, if you look at this is new normal in evolving clinical pathway. This is beginning preventive care, ingestibles and wearables and personalized applications. This is home and remote care through digital and digital technology and home sensors. This is your the other is the primary, secondary, and tertiary care, which is actually enabled by the technology integrated with one-stop solution, which provides both diagnosis and treatment. And this is future, and all this is getting integrated. The entire purpose is moving diagnostic tools and treatment closer to the patient. So teleconsultation ecosystem, providers are doctors, payers are patients, insurance companies, and maybe the government, and you have the offline and e-pharmacies, labs and diagnostics. These are the fulfillment centers. And look at what has happened to e-pharmacy. It is expected to reach a business of $2.7 billion. Now, who are the players who have come in? Reliance has come in, Tata's have come in, you've got the Apollos have come in. And PharmEasy is big. So just to give you an idea, we pick one company and we only look at PharmEasy. And PharmEasy's consolidated revenue to 2,360 crore went up 3 times in 1 year. Now this is interesting. Now what is more interesting is why all these big time giants are interested, industry interested, getting into this is online pharmacy market is because the 5.6 billion is the valuation. And this is pre-IPO round PharmEasy. It is raising 6,250 crores. So imagine if that's the valuation game. So why not? You will have Tata's and Reliance and everybody come. So the changing dynamic, and they are not only Tata and Reliance. If you look into, there are more pharma companies extending into diagnostics and also into the online pharmacy deliveries, logistics. So if I look into the online extending diagnostics, PetKind is Mankind, Lupin Diagnostics is there. It all started with Ranbaxy at one time. They were the SRL, which you know. So the dynamics are pharma is collaborating with online service technology providers to facilitate consultation, delivery between HCPs and patients and HCPs and community. And big time consolidation is happening. Giant House is entering e-pharmacy space, providing extended integrated services, doctor consult, diagnosis, home care under one platform. Pharma is getting into new contracts. Now look at the companies like us. So we will have to do new contracts, new discount structures, balancing the supply chain between conventional, modern, online trade. So this is where I think the pharma would have to undergo a big restructuring in their contracts and discount structures. 100% digital earlier. The healthcare professional reach during COVID was digital. Now the new norm is the phygital, where you find the physical presence of the medical representative in the clinic. In addition to it, you also have the digital reach. And both with respect to pharma reach and also the medical conference. Now, many companies did over a few hundred CMEs every month. In fact, one of the MNCs, the marketing head told me that they were doing 1,000 a month. And we centered at about 2,000 in a month. 2,000 during the COVID 1 year, which we did those CMEs. Video detailings and animated signs have become the norm and it continues, lesser frequency. Now focus on API production post-COVID. Now COVID has told us that you have got to be Atmanirbhar, means you've also got to be Atmanirbhar with respect to the API. 70% of your medicine which you take, you should boycott China. It doesn't work like that because the Procin or paracetamol, Sinarest you take, you don't know where is the raw material coming from. So it's not as simple. 70% of API dependent on China and cost rose by 3 times. I'll give you an example. You see, because I consume paracetamol, I'm one amongst the biggest paracetamol consumers in India. Why? Because Sinarest is the brand leader in anti-cold segment. So we generate 1-2 prescriptions per second. So what happened to us? So we had to buy paracetamol at 950 rupees a kg from 262 rupees a kg. That means this was pre-COVID price. So that means industry had to take that hit. So government has announced the productivity-linked incentive scheme to trigger indigenous API production to meet near total demand within 5 years. And there are 3 API bulk parks are being set up. Investment, government pledges is 14,300 crores. But all said and done, do the MSMEs, do they get the benefit, which would have to be seen. Focus on hospital infrastructure. Now there are 157 new medical colleges, additional 16 All India Institute of Medical Sciences. They have been announced. Total number of MBBS seats has gone up from 54,000 in 2014 to 83,000 in 2020. But let's not fall into the trap of these numbers, because when you say MBBS seats, then there's MBBS students. So many of them, they come into the industry, they don't go and practice. Very many of them, they get into clinical research. Then so many of them, they have to do their post-graduations, and post-graduations have now gone from, during my time, 2 years to now 3 years. And then they don't rest with MDs and MS. They want to do their MCH, they want to do their DMs. So that means it's super specialization. So by the time you get, so you don't get this number additional 30,000, you only get 10,000 extra. So what happens? What happens is that if you look at it, in effect, the ratio between doctor to population is 0.5 to 1,000 in India. The new WHO norm says that there got to be 44 healthcare workers to 10,000 population, means 4.4 to 1,000. But that includes doctors and nurses. Nurses in India, twice as many as the doctors are. You have additional 5 lakh estimated practicing Ayush doctors, but we don't know how that the model of practice, it's difficult capturing the data. So future, we need to look into the segment. That's why this new hospital announcement is an apt step by the government. Now, if we see what is happening here, the global, I'm giving you a little preview of the global market. Now, the global is going from 1.2 trillion to 1.25 trillion, and then maybe 2025 goes to $1.7 trillion. Now, that's the global market. It's a very interesting thing. Let's look at this. A shift from 2020 to 2021. So 1,228 billion, 1,250. So little number game we will do here. That means that's an addition of 22 billion. Now, how much is the vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine? Only Pfizer, Moderna did 51 billion. So that means what? That means the total would be $90 billion last year. So that means $90 billion is that. So take away $90 billion, the vaccines. So that means the global market pharma in effect has gone negative. Now, when we are looking at the global market, please remember 66% of the total market comes only from developed countries. And of the total market, 73% to 71% are the original drugs. Non-original brands are about 9-11%. Unbranded generic are 11%, and 7% are OTC and vaccines. So that's just to give you. Let's look into India. You see, so India, some reports suggest that India pharma industries is expected to grow from its current size of 42 billion to 130 billion in 2030. Looks ambitious, but this will in effect be a CAGR of about 12.5. Now, if I look into global, now what happens with the COVID happening, you find vaccines have come on top. You see, so this is plotted against history. That means this is historic 5 years. So that means if you go back to 2015 to 2020, and this is the growth forecast CAGR, is 2020, 2025. Now, if you look into immunology, it was there, it has been there. The size of the drops will tell you the size of the market. Now, immunology has been there in the past, it was there, it has been growing. Look at oncology there, but what has happened? Vaccines has come in. So vaccines is, if you see, the vaccines has been up. Neurology, which actually was 0% earlier, historically, now if you see, it's projected to grow at 5%. And that's just to mention some therapies which will see a change. If I look into the spending growth in 10 developed countries, and also look into the CAGR, I think that's more important than anything else. So if I look into CAGR, all these countries, the CAGR is anywhere between 3.5 to 6.5, 3 to 5%, 2 to 5%. So all this is 2 to 5%. Let's look at what is the India story. So if I go to India, India projected is 7.5, 10.5. Right? This is IQVIA market prognosis, September 2020. Now this is 7.5, 10.5. Now when I say $130 billion, then I'm saying that be 10.5, 12.5 is the CAGR. If that is how the Indian pharma market has to grow. So Russia now, this was pre what has happened between Ukraine and Russia. So I don't know what will be the story there. So this has no meaning. So we can actually ignore this. And Brazil is another which is high. That's all. And then so retail market, wellness market. Now this is gradually. Now what has COVID done? COVID says that please focus to the entire industry. It says that immunity and wellness is very important. So wellness as it is was projected to go up 4 times from 2014 to 2023. It's expected next year to be $16 billion market globally. But I can tell you this market will be much bigger than the market which has been said. This is the market report. So all the companies have now started doing their portfolio modification, and that means the new product baskets. This is the thing which I think future everybody will have to get into preventive healthcare. In fact, the purpose of health is to make pharma redundant and to make the doctors redundant. Actually, that's the purpose of healthcare, so that there's no disease. But it's easier said than done. Nevertheless, that's how that. So that you are there to ensure preventive health. So that means you are there to ensure. You're there to counsel them. So immunity is another, wellness, supplements, vitamins, minerals, vaccines, antivirals, probiotics. Probiotics is the in thing now, probiotics. So look at what we've done. So we also did during COVID period. So one, I've already told you, I went into I7 kit because I found myopia is, we found myopia is on the increase, and children, children have to live another 70, 80 years. And even more, so the young India, they need to be, the vision needs to be protected in future. So we introduced this very 7 essential vitamins required to protect eye health. We also did this probiotic with vitamin combination to give immunity. And we did Respi Strong, which has been a wonderful product, probiotic for children, so that there are no recurrent respiratory infections, and also does it guard against because it builds immunity, so guard against any viral attack in future. This is Indian IPM, pharmaceutical market, March. Now this is the annual. So the annual from 2021, 2022, if you see, the growth is 17%. Now this is one report. The other market report may be 13.5%. So this is 17%. But if you look into March to March, that means only March. That means this is March to March. This is March to March. This is only 6%. So what does it indicate? That means it says that if you're moving annual total for 12 months for 17%, that means if you're only growing at 6% now for month to month, that means everything is slowed down. So that means industry now, we'll see a lot of changes and shifts. Let's look into, I'm only once again the India, the IPM here. This is another report. This is the report from AVAX. Now, if I look into the value growth here has been 14.6%, but look at the COVID drugs. COVID drugs were 26.4%. Sorry. Non-COVID portfolio was 8.44%. Excuse me. And if you come to March, very interesting. The COVID portfolio has gone negative more. That means vis-a-vis last year, while the non-COVID portfolio is now stable. So that means anybody who did very good courtesy COVID last year, now they have the problem in sales. So this is what is happening. This is the unit growth. Now, if I see the COVID cases and I look at what has happened to the market, so I'm looking at both. So what have I done? This is March 21. So I put them together. This is 2022 March. This is 2022 March. So if you see the curve, this is the IPM. So we will to show you the correlation between how COVID happened and how Indian pharma industry responded in sales. Now I have picked up 5 therapies which are which have direct, very close, which have the closest relation with COVID. So I picked up first of all, let's see. I picked up Favipiravir, a top brand I picked up. Now let's look into. This is your March to this peak. This is your March peak with this. This is your March peak here. This is March peak here with remdesivir, and we know these molecules now. And then there was a lot of zinc along with multivitamin was happening, and look at what has happened to the sales. Now what is very interesting to see here, let's see, this is 16x. So that means 1 crore 60 lakh units, which were consumed here, close to that 1 crore. And what is this? 2 lakh units. Sorry, this is 20 lakh units. So what happens from 160x, you come down to 20x. Look at this. You see here, if you are from 40x, you come down to 5x. Look at this. You see, just giving you up. From 70x, you come down to 10x. So imagine if you're coming back to 1/7 of the sales. So what will happen to the industry with respect to both indents and the inventories? Now this is, once again, I picked up respiratory and I picked up, you have seen the anti-infector, because these two also went hand in hand with COVID. So as the COVID went down, you find they went down. So they, both of them, anti-infector, they went together. I'll give you a clearer perspective. If I have to give you so let's also look at acute and chronic. Something which is very interesting. This is chronic and this is acute. So acute has seen fluctuations, whereas the chronic has been very consistent and stable. Now, it would be interesting to know, when I say chronic means I'm referring to the disease which is there long time. You will have to keep on taking medicine. For instance, you have the diabetes, you have hypertension, you have like these diseases. And you have subchronic, where you take medicine for 6 months or 1 year. But this is chronic segment. In India, chronic segment is about 60% and acute is 40%. Chronic is big. So what also it tells the industry, there's a lesson hidden herein, that if you have to tweak your portfolio, it's very important that you should try and ensure that you're more dependent on chronic, you'll be happier. So that means you have to, so that these fluctuations may not, So one report says that chronic 63%, but they also say that market chronic will decline to 53% 2026. Why? Because they believe that acute is, now with COVID and other Omicron and other strains coming in, so acute portfolio will keep on jumping up. Whereas IPM contribution, some other report mentions, another agency says acute 47, chronic 32, and subchronic is. So this is where it is. Future considerations and way forward, if I have to look into, I will tell you, this is FICCI's recommendation. They say accelerate research and innovation, which of course would require financing and encouraging private investment into R&D. That is important. Achieving equitable, sustainable healthcare. I think partly it has been done because unifying system like Aadhaar for digitalization, simplification of healthcare has happened already. Strengthening manufacturing and supply base, global market. So what does it mean is that you have more API plants and you have also got to upgrade your existing facilities and raise standards. And then improving access to medicine. There's a revolution in logistics, supply chain in India. Let's pick up the forecast dilemma for the industry now. I'm only picking up the cold solids. Why I'm picking up? Because we have a brand which is I told you, the brand leaders in others in India. So we control almost about 38% to 40% of the anti-coal market. Now, if it was in the month of January, only January, you look at January, February, March, 81 crores was the cold solids. Solids means they were the tablets. They were 81 crores. Look what has happened in the month of March. They've come down to 27 crores. I'm speaking of the market, total market in India. Look at the cold liquids. You see, there are 90 crores in the month of January. And what has happened in the month of February? It's fallen down to 46 crores. So now that means this is a very big dilemma for the industry. So, I mean, one has now, one has to think of the predictive models and there's got to be ways by which we know how the waves will, the third wave and the fourth wave, how would it strike and how the intensity would build up. A lot of research needs to be done there. Otherwise, there'll be stock piling up and indents would go wrong, inventories will go wrong, all projections will go wrong. Spurt in ancillary business, I think we all know, we won't spend time here. PPE kits, masks, sanitizers, apps, gadgets, antigen, self-test kits, oximeter, devices, all of them. But what has happened to the market has gone big. And not to forget, you have Ayurvedic and homeopathic medicinal increase, which has been phenomenal. Now, there's something which is interesting. You know what happened during COVID for all companies, including pharma, was that how do you keep the employee morale up? Because the trouble was that there were all kinds of responses from the industry towards employees. Some set of companies, they downsized their businesses, they closed their divisions. They had to, a lot of people, when they close businesses, obviously, the people suffer employment. And then we also know of the latest, there have been schemes, VRS, which have been floating, which we know, voluntary retirement schemes. So employee morale, we at least as an organization center, we decided we didn't panic. In spite of the fact that we are not the COVID portfolio last year. So that means there were no benefits which had to happen. So there are two sets of companies as mentioned. So what did we do? We were doing regular family fun fair. So we will have the virtual invites and we will have the family members come in and we did the tail end shows for all members, and thereafter they were given the certificates and small gifts. And this is, and we also reassured nobody is losing job on account of COVID for sure. That's what we did. So I think we've been a very sustainable model. So I think if I have to look at few companies in India that did not panic during COVID and did not resort to cost cutting short-term means, they stayed grounded in their R&D and quality and standard and science and systems and invested in infrastructure. One such example I can pick up, the company that I know best, can't be any other, but mine, but this is purely for academic purpose. If I see what is it, we had 3 successive investigations by US FDA of my manufacturing plant, of the R&D, of our API. and there were nil 483 observations by US FDA. This is a rare feat which happens. That means you are 100% compliant. There are no observations made. We became world's third largest manufacturer of psychotropic drugs in recent years. Investment in R&D and technology and infrastructure went up. Why? Because we did 10 lakh square feet FDA compliant plant built in Pune during COVID. And this I know during COVID means we had to actually migrate workers from neighboring states, and we had to do housing for them. We did that, so we could complete during COVID. We completed this. This is 10 lakh square feet plant which happened. We've been clinical trials, and we introduced a product, the new chemical entity, for the first time in the world. And please, just to tell you that there are only 3 such molecules which have happened last 50 years in India, where Indian company does clinical trials, researches a molecule, introduces in India for the first time. That is Voxil. We did for diabetic foot ulcer. So, and this is a treatment which actually prevents many many limbs from being amputated. Now the scientific marketing, over 2,000 webinars during COVID, 16,000 acknowledgements by healthcare professionals of a single digital post, which was happening in all that what we sent. So it only would mention and state that your content has to be scientific and authentic. A sound doctor database, not only the database by qualifications, and it's also the demographic and psychographic profiles. You see, so digital capabilities and in-house IT systems and state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities. All said and done, we have a 50-bedded CRO. You see, there are a lot of doctors, they come in with their teams, HODs of all hospitals. They come visit to look this up. This is one among the finest state-of-the-art facilities Bombay has. New opportunities, these are my last few slides. So Technology Information Department, Forecasting Assessment Council, autonomous body of Department, Science and Technology, Government of India has done some recommendations. And they have the challenges COVID and opportunities created. And I think I would find them very consistent and very nice. And what they have recommended is that you've got to have the products with cutting edge technologies in future. IoT products to be harnessed for outreach, accessibility, and accuracy. Handheld epitomer-based diagnostic devices. If you see here, you have a mobile phone and you can attach the device on it. Recombinase aided amplification, a step above RAASA is a step above RT-PCR. It happens faster. Smartphone-based point-of-care electrochemical test, and now you find that you have the portable biosensors which you can carry, and detection optical biosensor nanotechnology. In fact, in future, I can tell you, you can detect your own cataract. So this is what will happen. So detection based on changes in sound patterns, speech, breathing. So that means you cough into the device, and the device will tell you whether you have dry cough, you have COPD, I mean chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or you have allergy. So that means those are the ones which will come. Telemedicine has got more to be leveraged, and domestic manufacturing to promote vigorously, major thrust on MSMEs. Now this is very important because that's the key. This is the backbone. So, and guidelines to be reoriented as per requirements, and GMP, the quality monitoring system has to be applied. Development of clusters. Otherwise, unless you have technology facilitation, process support, you find it becomes difficult. Well, new product baskets and technology support from academic institutions. The very fact that I'm so happy to be here, Dr. Srivastava comes and tells me, so I think these interfaces have got to be more frequent. And forward and backward integration capabilities, consolidation through mergers, acquisitions, co-marketing, and licensing agreements, even if it is with rival companies. Exploration of core competence in production of drugs, anti-infectives, especially biological, biopharmaceutical in future. Prioritization production of 53 raw materials of APIs as part of China +1 policy to fill in the supply gap. So this is important. And with this, the last is thank you very much. The life is full circle. We learn, we evolve, we learn, we get more prosperous, we earn. Finally, we have to return to the society. This applies to all stakeholders in society, all the more during crisis as pandemic. And God give us the strength and keep the wisdom intact so that we can return back to the society. So business is only one part of the story, and then another part of the story is this. So I've always said, Centaur, I invite all of you. You are in Bombay, once in a while, you can undertake a travel into my facility. It is less of a business house, if it's more of an academic institution. In fact, one time the students could do their PhD with us in clinical pharmacology, pharmaceutical chemistry, because as mentioned, we have the R&D complete facility here. We do a lot of API. We are the pioneer. We have at least 38 molecules done for the first time in India. And so I think Pune University was accrediting those certificates. So thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Dure. Thank you, Dr. Srivastav. Thank you, Dr. Pandit. All of you, and thank you all Deccan members and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any questions I can answer?
Thank you, sir, for your, it was a great explanation. Just a minute, I'll just share my screen. Sorry, I think I have some. Nikhil, can you please share the screen again once? I think there's some internet issue here that I'm facing. Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah. So, hello everyone. Now we'll be starting off with our presentations for the day. So, just to inform, there are 3 tracks in total, and there are 2 tracks of general management, and then there is 1 track which is the finance management. Also, people have been already notified about their tracks as per the email. So, I'll just take a minute to introduce our chairpersons, who will be the panelists for the each track. So, for track 1, we have Dr. Sangeeta Pandit ma'am, whom I have already introduced in earlier. And next we have Dr. Ashish Pavaskar sir, who is the HOD of General Management at our very own college, Simsri. And then for track 2, the next slide please. Yeah, so for track two, sorry, that is the General Management track 2. We have Dr. Sunil Agarwal, who is a professor at People's Institute of Management, which is People's University Bhopal. Then we have Dr. Mohammad Jamshed, who is from the Department of Management, SMBS, Jamia Hamdard University, Delhi. And we have our very own professor, Dr. Vijay Narkhade, who is a professor and HOD Business Statistics at Simsri. And for track 3, which is the Finance Management track, we have Dr. Professor Nirmala Joshi ma'am, who is the Head of Research and Finance at MET Institute of Management, Mumbai. And we also have Dr. B.B. Kamble, who is the principal of a renowned college, which is the Sri Chennai College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai. So this will be the 3 tracks that we have, and the participants are requested to join the tracks as it was notified in the email. If there are any doubts, we have people from my committee, that is the Recon, who will be helping you out. So if there are any doubts, please reach out to them, and they'll be guiding you through the same. Thank you, guys. Sir, we'll be starting off with the, we will ask people to move to the breakout room now. Okay, I think you all can move to the breakout room now. And if anyone wants any help on the breakout room, please let us know. We'll be guiding them as well. Also, the students for Simply, they will be they also have received their allocation. So please move to the breakout room accordingly, as mentioned in the email sent to you. Mr. Vikrant, sir, give me a minute. I'll just check it.
I think he is in the general management track. So you can put him in day 2. So you can put him in general management track